Ladies and gentlemen, American jury and Bulldog Nation, lots happened over the weekend, and here's my 2 cents. First, there is another appeal to the United States Supreme Court by the Trump campaign relative to the Pennsylvania election and the counting of those mail-in ballots. I expect the Supreme Court not to do a damn thing because they haven't indicated any desire to do a damn thing. And I think that's tragic. I think that if the United States Supreme Court took all of these legal issues and made a decision, it would give validation to either the Trump challenge and his continuing as president or legitimacy to Biden's win. You know what? This happens all the time with the United States Supreme Court and other state Supreme Courts. They play these little fancy games relative to taking a case and hearing a case. They have the power to take the case, and they should decide the case. The COVID deal. This, of course, was the biggest news over the weekend that came about last night. I'm not going to regurgitate to you all the terms of it. You know, all I can say about it is you go down through the laundry list of everything that's involved. By the way, everybody that doesn't make $90,000 looks like you're going to get a check for $600. And I know many people need that. I kind of wish that that's all they did. But, you know, these debates between the White House, Senate, and Congress, it's the give and take and all the stuff that stays in there. You know, another $1 trillion. I always feel like when we do these bailouts, it's like pouring water into a sand hole that you made on the beach. You know what happens to the water? It just goes right through the sand. That's the way I always feel about these. I don't believe in them. It just doesn't seem like it does any good. Where if you did tax, regulatory, and general policies would be much better to help. But oh well, we've got a deal. Some funny things that happened over the weekend. It was taken out of context, but it was still funny. Did you see where the Brazilian president said that the vaccine could turn you into an alligator? You know, I have to admire the guy's sense of humor. But it was reported that he said that just like with confirmation and conviction, like he was being serious. He wasn't. I have to admit, the headline caught my eye. I was like, what? Vaccine turns us into alligators. Kind of funny. 81,220 people have died from drug overdoses since this so-called pandemic. Just think about that. 81,000 overdoses. Actually, I think that hasn't been during the pandemic. I think it was just a short period of time, like the last month or so. Nobody talks about that. Helen Keller. Did you know that Helen Keller, the blind Helen Keller, is part of white privilege? Yep. One of those Black Lives Matter folks decided over the weekend to declare blind Helen Keller even had white privilege. So you see, it's never enough. It is a runaway train where we are. Helen Keller, white privilege. Man, another one said old whites, because more old people are white than any other race, that the old folks should not get the vaccine either. What did I tell you, man? It's a war against the militant, Black Lives Matter versus everybody, particularly whites. You can be the best do-gooder, non-racist white person in the world, and you're still white, and that's too much white for them. Also, there was a big talk that the vaccine ought to go to blacks and Hispanics first. Apparently, they're a little more vulnerable to the COVID. So once again, if you're white, too bad. Old people shouldn't get it. Even if you're young, blacks and Hispanics should get it first. Rich Californians, they got their own way of doing things. You know, a lot of these folks that got sentenced on this college scandal, admission scandal, were from California. So they know how to do things the California way. Many of the rich Californians are offering $25,000 to jump into a donation like to the hospital, like, here, I'm going to donate $25,000. Give me the vaccine. Only in California, right? Dr. Birx. Remember Dr. Birx giving us all those warnings about Thanksgiving? Well, some pictures have come about that she traveled on Thanksgiving, and not only did she travel on Thanksgiving, she had a big family gathering, extended family, no masks. Man, it just goes on and on and on with these folks. The double standards. George Floyd trial. The George Floyd trial is going to be streamed live by video to the whole world to see. I ain't got any problem with it. Let it happen. Because you know what? You're going to get the good with the bad. If you're all about the George Floyd matter, you're going to hear more than just George Floyd's side of it. I don't know why all the trials shouldn't be public these days with the system that we have. It's supposed to be a public trial. Let it be. Coca-Cola. This is an example of the extrapolation of the harm caused by lockdowns. Coke is cutting 12% of their workforce. Coke's a pretty big company. That's a lot of people. You know why? Because of the lockdowns, people aren't in restaurants drinking Coke. 12%. Lockdowns go on and on. Now just think about those families. Those families. The kids of those families. And last on Bulldog Reports, something fun that caught my eye. Allegedly, the first humans to survive the harsh winters and the colds, the ice age and everything, allegedly hibernated. I don't know how these scientists claim to know this stuff from examining fossils and whatnot, but it is kind of interesting. Hibernating. We were once like bears. I don't know about you, but don't you think 2020 might not have been a bad year to hibernate? And in fact, this winter might not be a bad winter to hibernate. God, if only we could. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would mind sleeping 3 months, then waking up and, hey, spring's here. What do you think? This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. I hope you have a great day.